give you a tree. This tree is just Can you come over this one, please?
Hi everybody, happy Wednesday. Daisy Ruth here. We are here at Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo and we're meeting some of the animal ambassadors. You can see my new friend behind me just kind of hanging out. So I'm going to go ahead and turn around so you guys can see. And what do we have here? Who do we have here?
Hi everybody, this is Lorenzo. He's our two-toed Linnaeus sloth. He's about 2 years old right now. My name is Ashley. We're going to see if he wants to come up just a little bit higher on this tree so you can get a good look at him. But we're going to see what he wants to do today. This is a sloth from down South America. We might need that kennel in just a second. He might decide he wants to go hang around. Doesn't want to participate in this, but it looks like he wants to come back up here for some treats. So sloths are really, really cool animals. He, again, is about 2 years old right now. But these guys are really amazing because they do everything upside down. So right now he is climbing upside down. They eat upside down. They sleep upside down. Everything's upside down. And they, even though he's pretty speedy for a sloth, these guys actually usually move very, very slow. So slow that down in South America, they've actually been known to grow algae on them.
Wow.
And it's only a specific algae that comes straight from these sloths. So we'll see. It looks like we're going to bring over his kennel. We're going to give him just a...
Okay, he's not too sure about being out in the heat today.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot day outside today. So we're going to see what he wants to do today. He's like, I'm just going to hang around the base of my tree today. It's fine. There we go. These guys are really, really cool animals. You can see he's got these really long legs. And we're going to hang around and just, he's like, there's a lot of cool smells out here. But these are herbivores, so what they'll do is they only eat fruits and vegetables out in the wild. Here he has a lovely selection of green things and bananas and grapes.
That's good eating.
It is. Do you have any questions about him so far?
Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. We are, we're doing basically what the animals want to do today. So if he decides it is time to head out and he needs to be put in a kennel and taken back, that's what's going to happen today. So please leave your questions if you guys have any. We're going to try and get to as many as possible. Kelly says it looks like he has a t-shirt on.
He is a very, very fluffy animal. The way that their hair grows is actually a specific way, so that when they are hanging upside down in South America, all the wire just wicks right off of them and it falls off instead of getting collected all in their fur. Lorenzo.
He is 2 years old.
Yes.
Lori, thank you for your question. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. This Wild Wednesday. And this is Lorenzo.
Lorenzo, yes. And he came to our zoo as part of an SSP, or Species Survival Program. So what that basically means, throughout all the United States we have these animals and we manage their genetics. So if for some reason they go extinct out in the wild, we have a really good, healthy, genetically diverse population in zoological care. So we can try to repopulate out there. Out in the environment. So we're gonna see. So you finally get to see a sloth hanging around on the ground. Usually, again, they'll only actually come down from the trees to go to the bathroom or to move to a different tree. Apparently Lorenzo has found some grass and we're gonna give him a little opportunity to go back into his kennel. In just a couple moments we are gonna bring out another animal for you.
Stay tuned, guys, we're not finished yet.
But as you can see, we do everything voluntarily here, so we're going to wait until Lorenzo is ready for him. He wants to go into this kennel. Hopefully. So we'll see what he wants to do today. But hopefully, he should just go right into this kennel.
Who's next?
Huh? We have to wait until he is home before we can bring out our next animal. Maybe.
Do we have any more questions?
What? Are they aggressive at all?
You know, sometimes sloths can be aggressive, but typically they spend so much time high up in the trees that they don't encounter a whole lot of things up there that they have to be defensive about. But if a predator does come in, if anything comes up and is confrontational with them, then what they'll often do is they have really big teeth, surprisingly big for an herbivore. When you look at a sloth's teeth, they've got these big fangs in their mouth, so they've got these big canine teeth in there. And they will also use their claws, so you know that they hang all day long and that they're constantly using their claws to do that. Their claws are really, really strong. So whenever they feel defensive, they will use those claws to swipe. And they've got a really good left hook. So you got to be careful with them on that respect. You know, they're definitely a little deceiving. Looks can be deceiving. They're known for being really slow and pretty mellow animals, but you do not want to upset a sloth. It can be pretty dangerous when a sloth is sort of put in that position where it feels the need to get pretty defensive.
What's their life expectancy? Jenny, thanks for the question. I've seen someone else ask that question also.
You know, it really depends, because there's many different species of sloths. And the thing about sloths is there's a lot of different kinds, and they live in a lot of different areas throughout Central and South America. And he's the Linnaeus two-toed sloth, like Ashley was saying. And his lifespan probably going to go into his mid to late teens. But again, it just depends on the species, because some sloths are different than others. And like Ashley was saying, normally sloths don't spend a whole lot of time on the ground. They'll usually come down only to go to the bathroom. But what you're seeing with Mr. Lorenzo now, you can check him out again here. He's just kind of hanging out on the ground, checking out all the new scents and smells and whatnot that are around here. And the thing about sloths is, because they're built to hang in a tree, they tend to look pretty alien-like when they're on the ground. They look really odd. And sometimes you'll see these videos that come across on YouTube and Facebook where they show a sloth in the wild trying to cross a street, and you can really see how helpless they are when they get on the ground like that, because they're just sort of doing this army crawl to get from point A to point B. Now, in the case of Lorenzo, I think a lot of the reason why we think he likes to come down to the ground is obviously because this is a new area for him. There's a lot of new scents and smells. And also, there's a lot of minerals in the dirt, so a lot of animals may lick dirt and get a little bit of that inside their system, because it's a lot very nutrient rich. But we obviously do not want him to go overboard with that, because a little bit is not a bad thing, but you don't want too much of a good thing. So we have to really keep an eye on that to make sure that he stays really healthy.
Is he full grown?
Yes, he is full grown.
What family are they from? We had someone ask Cynthia, if they're family to the monkey.
You know, that is a fantastic question, and they are not primates. Sloths are what we call xenarthans, and they're in a very unique grouping, and they're related to anteaters and armadillos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you can see when you look at some of their physical characteristics, when you look at their claws, they've got those really big claws, and if you look at an anteater or an armadillo, they really have very similar shapes to their feet like that, and their skull structure is kind of similar, so it really just depends on the different animal that you're talking about, but yeah, that's what they're related to.
What, did they make any noises? I haven't heard any from this little guy, but...
Well, during certain times of the year, they say that they may scream really, really loud, but it's a breeding call, so they can, and they have a pretty, very loud, kind of terrifying scream that they can do. I have never heard Lorenzo scream, though. I can say that for certain. All right, so I think we're gonna get ready for our next animal. She's pretty special. I love this little lady, and she is one of the largest of her species in Africa. And there's lots of different types of these guys out in the wild. And we have some in North America, they have them in South America, and this is an African species. She's a really big rodent, so I'm sure people are gonna think, ew, I don't wanna see a big rat, but you're gonna like this one. This is a big, giant, spiky, you're getting some clues. She's gonna be very, very prickly and pointy. You gotta watch out for her. Here she comes. She's making her way in. She's running and she's excited.
Now, are we okay to be standing
yes,
here?
you're perfectly safe, I promise. Mark has the situation all under control. Yeah. So this is Pierce, and Pierce is an African crested porcupine. So this is one of the largest species of porcupines in the world, and as I mentioned, they are found in Africa. And the cool thing about these porcupines is they are very adaptable, so they live in all different kinds of environments. The only places that these porcupines typically don't hang out are in really moist, wet forests or in really barren deserts, but everything else is fair game. So they have a very broad range. They're found throughout 30 African countries, so it's pretty cool. Now, Pierce here is about 13 years old. She's been at the zoo for a very long time as part of our ambassador program. And probably the most common question that we get about Pierce is, can she shoot her quills? And would you like to volunteer to have her shoot her quills? Anybody? Any volunteers for that? Probably not. Well, I'll tell you what, she cannot shoot her quills. Quills are hair, so it is just a modified type of hair. And in this case, her quills are very long and they're pointy. Some porcupines have barbed quills, so that means the end is essentially like a little fish hook and it will stick under your skin. So they're very effective. In the wild, animals that will often go after porcupines like this, you would see leopards, maybe hyenas, lions, stuff like that. But what's pretty impressive is that this little rodent, little compared to, say, a lion or a leopard, of course, well, this little rodent can be fatal to those predators, because what happens is those quills get stuck inside of the predator's mouth and in their face and on their paws, and they can't get them out. And their quills are very dirty. As much as I love Miss Pierce, she is not the cleanest animal around. And the quills are pretty dirty, so those wounds that the quills create can get very infected, and the animals can often die from secondary infections, and of course if they have a mouthful of quills then they can't eat and whatnot. So it is a very effective defense mechanism. But another neat thing about the African crested porcupine is that when she feels defensive, not only is she going to raise those quills up, she may grunt a little bit and make some noises, but she's also going to rattle her tail. So the quills on her tail, they are shorter and they're open at the end. They look like little straws, and she shakes them back and forth and she makes a very loud rattling sound. And of course we all know what other animals make a rattle: the rattlesnake. And most animals will recognize that sound as dangerous and they'll stay away. So it's very effective for her as a secondary defense to rattle her tail, and it sort of steers animals away from her because of that. They don't want to get anywhere near it because they're not quite sure what they're going to be dealing with.
Kathy wants to know, what does she eat?
She loves to eat vegetables and fruits here at the zoo, and in the wild they eat a lot of tubers and roots. They'll burrow in the ground, so they'll dig a lot of things up, and she's a really great digger. They'll dig big burrows, and at certain times of the year you may see them living in groups in the burrows, but the rest of the time they're pretty solitary, and they travel pretty far to get food because they're always having to dig things up. But like I said here, as you can see, she's eating her green beans now. She definitely prefers her fruits right away. She likes the sugary sweets, but we got to make sure she gets the nutrients that she needs, so she gets all her vegetables too.
How much does she eat in one day? Thanks for the question, Darlene.
Boy, she probably eats a good 6 to 8 cups of food every single day. I mean, we give her a variety of food, but we want to make sure that she stays at a very healthy weight. So we really monitor and make sure that she gets the right amount of food, so she's not getting too heavy for herself here.
How fast can she run?
She can run really fast. She runs really, really fast.
She was excited coming out
here. She was very excited. I mean, you figure if you've ever seen a mouse or a rat scurry away, she can scurry just like that, so she's pretty quick. And in just a minute, you're going to see her probably move along here, and you'll see how fast she can go. And you know, the thing about her is she's really, really smart, and the way that we've trained her, you may hear Mark using a clicker, and that clicker is what we use as what we call a cue, and it's something just to get her attention because she has pretty poor vision. She doesn't have the greatest eyesight, so she listens to the sound of that clicker, and she knows that that is where she is supposed to go.
Thank you guys for the questions. Everyone says how beautiful of a creature she is.
Excellent.
I totally agree.
I agree. I think she's amazing.
We are getting ready for our next animal experience.
We have one more animal, and she's absolutely stunning as well. And we're sticking with the Africa theme now moving forward. We started with South America with the sloth, and then we went to Africa with the porcupine, and now we're going to be doing another African animal. This is Lena. And Lena is an African serval.
Oh my goodness.
So she's gonna walk around, and I will say something about Lena. She loves the grass. She loves her plants. So she's gonna hang out over there. She's probably gonna play in the bushes a little bit. She loves to chew on the grass. She gets pretty excited when we bring her out here. Now, Lena is about 3 years old, and servals are a sub-Saharan cat. So you're gonna see them down under like Central Africa and down into South Africa. and they're gonna live in some of those open areas. And what's really cool about them, they live in those open plains and grasslands, and what they do is they hide in the grasses, and they're known for their jumping skills. They are amazing jumpers. They often call this cat the Giraffe Cat because you can see she's got those really long legs, right? And those legs allow her to spring up in the air. So when she wants to catch her prey, which is usually birds that are flying by, she simply hides in the grasses, and when the birds fly by, she shoots out of the air and grabs onto them with her front paws, and she can shoot about 8 to 10 feet up. It's pretty amazing. She's really a fabulous jumper. But because her legs are so long and she's got such great dexterity in her feet, something else that she is able to do is reach into really tight crevices and rock faces and things like that. So she'll reach into some really tight areas and she'll reach around with her paws, and she can snatch small prey items out of there that have run in there to hide, and she can get them out with no problem whatsoever. So something that we definitely like to remind everybody of when it comes to Lena is you can see that clearly we're walking her on a leash and a harness, and we took a tremendous amount of time to teach Lena how to do that. And the training that we use at the zoo is called Operant Conditioning, and it's based all off of positive reinforcement. So we teach the animals to participate in their behaviors. It starts at the very basic, the earliest age that we can possibly do it, and we will teach them how to walk in and out of a kennel on their own. In the case of her wearing a harness, we've taught her to sit. We hold the harness up, she sticks her head through the hole for the head part, and we're able to just, she slips it right on herself, so we're never having to actually touch her and grab her and put anything on her like that. It's all her choice. And the greatest thing about this type of training, I recommend it for everybody, for your pets at home, for animals in a zoo, anywhere, because it gives the animal the choice to participate in what they're doing. She has total control over the situation, and you can see that she's looking to Megan here, her trainer, to decide exactly what it is that she's supposed to be doing and really figure that out. They communicate with one another. She gets pretty excited out here. And sometimes when she gets a little overexcited, she can hiss a little bit. She's got a lot of strangers out here in the yard. But as she's walking, you'll see her kind of following Megan. And what she'll do is she'll sit when Megan stands with her feet together, and she sits right next to Megan. And she knows that that is exactly what we're expecting of her. But the important thing to remember is that this is an animal that we have spent, and all of the animals here, we have an educational background in this. We study animal behavior, and we work very hard to do that. So what we do whenever we are working with these animals and working on training, we make sure that we understand all of their different body language. Now, clearly you just saw that she hissed, and she sort of put her paw up at Megan. So Megan is going to try something different. She's going to go in a different direction. She's going to take her somewhere else. And this is a really good example as to why it's so important to understand training and behavior. Many times people try to get these animals as pets, and we really just recommend adopting domestic dogs and cats. That's the safest way to go, because even though we spend hours and hours every single day working with these animals, you just never know, and you really have to be able to understand the behavior in order to work with them. So we're going to see if Lena wants to head on back. You can see her checking out. She's a little skeptical about going around the corner, but again, it's her choice, so we're not going to force her to go back there. We always make sure that she's comfortable and she makes the decision on what she wants to do.
So everything's voluntary, everything positive reinforcement.
Yep.
Is there anything you'd like to add, you'd like to say about the zoo's ambassador animals? What other animals here are ambassadors?
Oh, we have a ton of animal ambassadors. We do a daily macaw flyover, so you can come to the zoo and visit and see a flock of macaws that fly around the zoo a couple times a day. We also have a free flight bird of prey show experience, so we have raptors that fly freely throughout our theater, and we do presentations that help to educate people about many of these species and what they're facing out in the wild and what we can do to help. We have all kinds of things going on at the zoo every single day. We have up-close encounters with domesticated livestock. You can meet ponies and donkeys up close. You can go into the petting zoo. We have the porcupines and the sloth. We have all kinds of species, reptiles, amphibians, birds. So it's definitely a really great experience for people to come out and check out Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo. It's the place to be.
If you guys have any other last minute questions, go ahead and get them in right now. What's your favorite animal here at the zoo?
Oh boy, that's such a hard question. My favorite animal is whichever one I'm working with in that moment. How about that?
I like that. I like
But
that.
vultures have a very special place in my heart.
Why vultures?
Vultures are amazing. They're really smart birds, and they're kind of the underdogs, you know? People don't have a really good impression of vultures because we know they like to eat dead things. So they get a kind of a bad reputation, but vultures are really beautiful flyers. They're some of the best flying birds around. The highest one ever recorded was 37,000 feet up in the air, just to give you an idea. And they're just really neat birds, and they're very important to the environment.
What animal encounter would be appropriate for, say, a young child, a 2-year-old, to visit? Caitlin would like to know.
A 2-year-old, I would say going over, most of the children that are that age love to go over to our Wallaroo Station area because it is a children's play area, and we also have our petting zoo and our ponies and everything over there, so kids can get really up close. But we also have animal encounters throughout the park during the day. If you check the schedule whenever you come in, it's given out with our maps, and you can see where the different locations where you can have those up close experiences with the animals, because we have giraffe feedings, we have a rhino encounter, lots of VIP premium experiences. They're really exciting. So there's so many things that we can do for people of all ages.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. Just come to the zoo, come visit us. It's exciting.
Well, thank you so much for the presentation. That was incredible. I think well, I know that's the closest I've ever been to any of those animals, and that was great. And all of our Facebook viewers and our Facebook commenters, thank you as well. That was awesome.
All right, thank you. You know, we do have another event coming up. Just as one last final note, if you guys have a second to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Well, we have our sunset celebration coming up here this summer.
Like the sound of that.
Yes, it is very exciting. The zoo is open until 10 o'clock at night on Fridays and Saturdays. It starts at the end of June and it runs through July. So it is a really exciting time for people to come and check out the zoo because it's a little bit cooler after the sun goes down. The animals are out until 9 o'clock, and we have all kinds of entertainment and food and just a lot of fun stuff going on at the zoo. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Again, it's Fridays and Saturdays for select dates coming up here over the next couple of months.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in for this Wild Wednesday. That was awesome. Those animals are beautiful, so make sure you come visit the zoo and do these encounters. If you watched the rhino encounter from last week, that was awesome too, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. So thanks for watching, thanks for commenting, and we'll see you guys next time.